Welcome or welcome back to the Techness Corner. I'm your host, Seb Luka, and welcome back to what is essentially episode 2 of the Tech Consults for 2022. Now, this PC on the backside here has already had some work done to it by myself. It was also put together originally by myself a few years back for what we shall call Mr. X. It's been doing the job rather well for what it is. It's been tugging along. It was time for the gentleman to upgrade his GPU that he had originally in there. It had a RX 580 4GB, I believe, from memory, and it's been subsequently upgraded with a 6700 XT 12GB DDR6. I think it's an ASRock Challenger GPU, and was installed subsequently by I believe a family member. Now, since then there were some issues. I've worked out what they were. Note to people, don't ever go to town on a PC with a compressor, I believe, especially a high power compressor. And if you do, make sure that the fans are not spinning when you're doing so, which is really difficult with a compressor, because fans aren't designed to spin while they are off. And especially if the compressor is pushing them past their allocated or RPM limits to begin with anyway. This will tie in a little later into relation to what I'm going to be doing now on the machine. Like I said, it's already had a fair amount of work to it. Essentially, what it came in for was some fans needed replacing, obviously. And there was 2 out of the 3 fans internally, 1 exhaust, 1 intake, I believe. And because of that, subsequently, we've arranged that all three fans will be replaced with the same type of fan. So we went with a budget-orientated, decent fan for its price, especially for its price. Price for performance, really, it's the king. Sickle Flow 120mm RGB, fantastic Cooler Master, and we got a 3-pack of those. They retail for about 14-15 Australian dollars each, so $45 for that, and for the 3 fans. And they've already been with a little bit of effort in relation to being able to line up, because I'll probably say that the RGB and the fan strips in this especially need to be at least 5 to 10 centimeters longer, especially for larger cases like the Corsa one backside here. Like the Corsa one backside here from yesteryear. Now, on top of that, it was also suggested it was running a 550 watt old school Corsa power supply as well, and that needed to be upgraded, especially for the recommended, at least the minimum recommended specs of what the 6700 XT is, which is a 700 watt power supply. So subsequently, I sourced special for a power supply for 750 watt was found in a local shop, same shop fans were picked up from, and that was for 99 Australian dollars. And that was the Asus Tough Gaming 750 watt power supply. There were a few options for about that price, but the Asus Tough came with a 6-year warranty, and in that price bracket, that's pretty substantial and decent. So it was opted for as the better option out of the others available. So that's subsequently been installed as well in the case. Now, on top of this, there was a couple of hard drives, and the hard drives needed to be installed for additional space for Mr. X. 2 terabyte hard drives shouldn't be a massive issue. Turns out that with the motherboard that's in the case, totally flipped my mind because it's been a while and it's not a normal thing in that relation. It's an Asus Prime Z390P motherboard. Only got 4 SATA ports available for it. It already had 2 mechanical drives and an SSD hooked up to it. Now, I didn't want to be the bearer of bad judgment, and there's a little bit of a leeway that the customers sometimes give me, especially this customer in relation to what I do with the PCs. I had some adapters laying about, and unfortunately, the adapters don't seem to be compatible with the motherboard and the computer itself currently. So I couldn't split those signals for the SATA ports and get it registered effectively. So unfortunately, one of the terabyte, and then on top of that, I was going to RAID 0 and stripe the two fresh terabyte drives to give a bit more performance in relation to those spinning Rust drives that they are. And yeah, that couldn't be an option, even though I tried for goddamn days, it seemed, even though it was a hectic few hours. Surprisingly, over an hour to install 3 fans as well. Insane, just because of the cable management and being able to have them breach for the RGB to be connected essentially and everything. For the fact that there's 3 fans, guys. 3 fans. Don't forget the fan as well for the cooler, which we'll get to. And there are 2 headers on the motherboard as well, only. Located near the exhaust fan sector. So the front 2 fans could not reach that, so I had to use an octuous splitter to at least reach those and split the single and take it into one. Pop that on chassis fan 1 sector header, exhaust on chassis fan 2 sector header, and subsequently have set up the fan profiles or the fans through the motherboard BIOS to be assertive as well as in the Windows, and to do a proper job in relation to optimization and say under load or not under load in essence in relation to CPU cooling. So with that being said, guys, that was the gist of what had to get done with the PC, and it's since then subsequently been done. Of course, there's always something else that comes into play, and that compressor scenario will reign supreme now when I explain that after setting it up, there was a bit of optimization I wanted to do through Windows itself and make sure that the card's running really well and everything's running A-OK, and give it the Techness Corner seal of approval. So coming back to our scenario today at Tech Consults episode 2. By the way, if you are enjoying it so far, at least the explanation before we get into a little bit of work, please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate all the support. Without it, I wouldn't be able to press on. So setting it up, I put in some diagnostical software and I'm like, interesting. I can hear the fans already revving up a little bit in relation to the CPU, but that's the intakes that I've set up already through the BIOS and whatnot. Get that diagnostical software up and, interesting. Why is that CPU fan not it's like running really 200 RPM? Interesting. It's just a stock Intel cooler. Those things are usually cookie cutter, last forever sort of thing. And yeah, unfortunately, I turned it off. I felt it. It's on the way out as well. After doing all that and pulling everything apart, I had to advise the Mr. X here in this case. Had to advise Mr. X that his cooling has to be replaced. Yeah, his cooling solution for the CPU will have to be replaced. And yeah, because it's on the way out. You could feel it. It's really, you can't even, you're not meant to spin it, but sometimes you have to check. No free spinning aspect of it, and it's just catching on itself. And it may spin for a little bit, but it'll stop out, and under load it can't handle the 600, 700, 800 RPM. It needs to be pushing as a little cooler, especially. And it's pretty much intermittently stopping now, and or dead stopped while the computer's running. For a time while I was working on it for a little bit, getting a couple of things done, because we were really pressed for time, and this is due this afternoon for Mr. X. I literally had a Vornado conventional room fan blowing at it so that the cooler would have a little bit of cooling and wouldn't be baking the CPU while I was working on it, and then shutting it down and working on it again and whatnot, just for a short period for a couple of things that needed to get done. But yeah, so we're advised to the Mr. X here with Tech Consults episode 2. We shall continue because now we have got one of the staple coolers, which will also come in handy for the gentleman if he chooses to upgrade and or move on to a different socket. He's got a couple of things ready, a power supply that can be taken over, as well as a cooler. This is system on top of it being a Z390. It's actually an Intel 9th Gen 9400F. So it's an i5. Decent little machine, but obviously there's always chance for upgrade or changing over, and many of these parts now can come over to a new system if inclined. A lot of that new system cost may be mitigated if that's what the client would choose to do, pressing forward with anything new. But coming back to what we've got today, we've got the blacked out edition of the Hyper 212 with Silencio fan. So here that is the box. What's not? I haven't installed a 212 cooler in a long time. I believe this should be like version 2. They may have upgraded the locking in mechanisms and whatnot, but the cool thing about this is it can go, it's got brackets to add an extra fan to it as well if needed. For an upgrade or a different CPU, it'd probably be worth it. But at least the customer won't have to buy the whole cooler, and that'll be still probably as effective, if not to the top echelon CPU consumer grades, which then probably obviously you have to jump up to like a 360mm radiator or something like that. So our cooling solution in relation to this that will be applied won't be standard, because I know this gentleman and how feverishly the computer gets used and what sort of conditions they are. So we've got we've got it on the side there, some Arctic Silver, just I believe a 1 dose of Arctic Silver, 3.5 gram, I beg your pardon, syringe essentially, and we're gonna apply that. That's great medium sort of a thermal paste for the CPU. And the good thing about it is, I find, is after about 100 to 200 hours of use, which takes a bit, it actually cures somewhat and solidifies, and the performance gains get better and better. So unlike some greases that you apply to, say, overclock with and try to get really good records instantaneously, this paste starts to perform better within time, and then for a period of time will hold its consistency essentially, and before it starts degrading, a couple of years down the track, sort of the thing. So it's a really good paste that I've had great results with, and I always recommend using it, even though there are plenty of other decent ones out there. I haven't gone wrong with this one for these types of applications. So we're going to use some of that as well. So with that all being said, it's a big job, because I'm hoping there is enough space on the backside potentially to mount it vertically. It's going to be a little finicky doing so, and not the correct way of doing it. Usually you would mount the cooler while the motherboard's out of the case with the RAM, and then drop it in the case. We're going to attempt to do it without having to pull the whole motherboard out. It means that all the cable management won't have to be redone as well, because it's been done effectively. It's been strapped down. It's been zip tied excessively, because there's not much space on the backside on this old case for cable management. It's in a complete unison, one line down to the side and in, and it's very, very clean, as much as it can be in relation to the non-modular power supply and whatnot. So we're trying to avoid that. If we can't, we will. Yeah, cross our fingers. This is the last painful part of what should have been quite simple stuff to get done, and enjoy the montage of the music and the clips that will probably be fast forward me getting through the work, and we'll end with some conclusionary points. So yeah, guys, Techness Corner welcomes everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and Tech Consults episode 2 obviously underway, but let's get into the rest of the work in relation to the PC. So let's go. With that being said, I believe we should actually probably put a better scene on, so you guys can get a better picture of what's actually happening, and enjoy the DCMA approved music, which ain't the best, but I try to get some bangers if possible. Or the best I can get that won't get us demonetized once we ever manage to get partnered. So let's go. All it's supposed
never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win at life. I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah, but I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on this shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all wanna ring, yeah, we all wanna be free. So show me what you got, what you bring, how you fight in the ring, how you take a fucking swing. Do you got heart, are you mean? Got some scars, got some needs, are you willing to go bleed? I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always
moment of truth has arrived. It's pretty much done. We're just going to turn it on, see whether she fires up. Hope there's no dramas with the fan per se and the cooler like we had before. And optimization, half of it's pretty much done. For the customer, we're going to optimize the computer. I've already taken a non-K chip and optimized the RAM significantly. We're taking 2666 megahertz memory and dropped it to about 400 megahertz higher in relation to mega transfers per second it can now undergo. And that's really great. It's one of those spots in DDR4 where if you've got that sort of level memory and you can get it to 3200 instead, that's the biggest gains in DDR4 essentially. Like 3200 to 3600, you don't see those same gains. You know what I mean? So he'll get 10, 15, 20 frames FPS much more on some titles, some really decent titles like FPS and things like that. So that'll be really good for him. That's something I did. Also optimize and or undervolted, overclock the GPU, save the profile. We'll show the gentleman Mr. X where the profile is and whatnot in case there's a reboot, restart, and AMD Wattman resets the graphics card like it always does if there is one of those. So he can initiate that profile again for himself rather easily. And apart from that, there's so much other stuff I can do for the system without further cache, like an NVMe boot drive and whatnot, and all other things which I will need to discuss with the client pressing forward. So yeah, this has been a run-of-the-mill episode 2 of Tech Consults at the Techness Corner with your host. My name's Seb Luka, guys. On the way out, don't forget to hit the like and or subscribe button for more tech-related content. We do tech stuff here. And from everyone in Melbourne, Australia, I guess, peace out, y'all. Bye. Oh, we'll just actually, on an after note, we'll just run it and see whether she pops on. 3, 2, 1, let's go, people. Get straight into the BIOS and see whether the cooler's running fine. 24 degrees, that's nice off the bat. Monitor wise, we'll go monitor, give it a split second. CPU fans running 668 RPM. It's based at to bottom at that level and it can go significantly higher now. Chassis fan 1 speed, chassis fan 2 are optimized and working as well. And regarding the power supply, all rails in that regards are fairly close to 3.3 volts, 5 volts and 12 volts is exactly dead on. QFan configuration has been done as well, and obviously the optimizations both in the operating system and the BIOS level complete, guys. So this has been again a really successful tech consult for episode 2. So much work where it should have been so little. But yeah, bye y'all.